This is episode 544 of the Eventing Radio Show, brought to you by Eventing Writers Association of North America. This week we have Jane Murray, Christina Henriksen, and Chris Barnard. This is Max Corcoran in beautiful, sunny, breezy, gorgeous, perfect Ocala, Florida.
And this is Joe in the same place, but today I'm in the depths of my tack room, Max. And you're listening to the Eventing Radio Show. Max, how are you today?
I'm good, Joe. How about yourself?
I am fantastic, actually. I'm really good. It is, as you say, it's one of those beautiful, little bit breezy, no clouds in the sky, again, days in sunny Florida, and we are just loving it here at the moment. It has just been fantastic. Sometimes there's been a few years when it can get a bit hot and steamy at this time of the year, but it's actually just
no humidity. Real dry.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just temperate and very, very nice. Yeah.
Perfect for the Ocala horse trials this weekend.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that.
There's a lot of horses, like 500 and some odd horses this weekend.
Oh, it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
I know. And actually, interestingly, Red Hills was one of the go-home weekends for a lot of the Northerners, wasn't it, traditionally, Max?
Yeah, it's sort of some of the people that maybe are in Louisiana and Texas carry on to go home. And then I feel like Carolina is another go-home way, and then the rest of us that are wicked smart, we just stay here. Yeah.
Well, I was speaking of wicked smart. I don't know if he's really wicked smart, but your other half, Scott, and before we start talking about the Eventing Pre-Invitational, we were chatting at the Eventing Pre-Invitational party, and he said, you must stay below the Florida-Georgia line from October through till April. And the only reason to go above the Florida-Georgia line is to go to the Kentucky horse trials. And the other only reason to go above the Florida-Georgia line is probably to go to the Poplar horse trials, which I will do once they start getting them back up and running again, Max.
Yeah. I know that the people that have that have taken over are just trying to rebuild it slowly and not try to bite off more than they can chew, which is really great. And they're just trying to make it a little bit better each time.
Yeah. So, Max, it was a great day at the Eventing Pre-International, wasn't it?
It was good fun. It's always a good day there, even though the weather was cold and I panicked. I had endless nights of sleepless nights because I was worried about the rain. There's rain forecasted for the day, but in the end, the sun came out and it was a great day. And the track was big and it was awesome. And Chris Barnard did his first time ever even being there. He'd never even been there before. First time designing, and there, Mark Donovan just got too busy. He's got his own event that he runs over the weekend at the Carolina Horse Park. So unfortunately, he did not come down, but Chris did a great job, and God, we had a good time. It was good. And I always get amazed because I look at the course and I think, ooh, this is big, this is hard, this is a lot. And people ride, they really step up and they really pay attention and they really ride so well, and it's awesome to watch.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
And it was tall this year.
Yes.
But it was an awesome class.
Yeah.
And it was good.
And Team Unstable didn't win, but you guys came in second.
We didn't win, but we did come in second, and we actually did pretty well considering I was on a horse that had only ridden a few times, and he had been training really well during the week, but it just didn't all quite come together on the day. Bobby went amazing on Fortuna.
And Sarah made her comeback she hasn't competed since she broke her back in August, so that was a big day for her.
That was a big day for her, so that was great too. Yeah. So
and Sharon obviously was, your staple. She was your backbone, wasn't she?
I know she was.
Yeah.
So that was great. So we get a check for that, don't we, Max?
Yes, you do. Yeah.
Okay.
$2,000 to the second place team. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Well, you better tell the listeners who won.
The winners were the Blacklist team, which
why don't you tell us what that's all about?
Well, they are riders that have been on the high performance training list, and this year they were not put on the high performance training list, so they preferred to call themselves the blacklist.
Blacklist.
Actually they all had a great day. Will Coleman rode a beautiful round and was the team winner and individual winner. Matt Brown made the effort to come down from Aiken. And he and Leslie Law finished on the exact the guy that was doing our scoring, Bill Worthington, who did our scoreboard and did the scoring. He was fantastic. His system goes to the 1,000th of a second, even though we'd only showed 2 placings on the scoreboard, and they came in on the exact same time.
Wow!
So we couldn't even break the tie within the thousandths. It was right there. So they were fourth. Third was Matt Brown and Leslie Law, which was great to see Leslie's young horse out there. And Jenny Brannigan, great to have her back at the show. And she was second with Ibella, and that was fun. So the Blacklist team was Will Coleman and Lauren Kiefer and Buck Davidson and Matt Brown. So it was a great day. Fantastic after party. Unbelievable food. You guys way outdid yourselves. That was ridiculous. That was delicious. Teresa was fantastic. She made sure we had enough eggplant parmesan for all the vegetarians, and everybody else seemed to highly enjoy it. And the party went off, and we all had a large time, and the cleanup the next day was really tragic, but worth it. All the dogs enjoyed a little bit of extra pork. But we did have, it was a great diet. It was great. And you guys were awesome to cook. That food is so incredible. Thank God. I think it kept everybody going for a bit. And the band played and Clayton sang and people danced. It was funny. The tent came down and the caterers came and took everything away. And you can see exactly where the bar was and where everybody's feet were. You can see exactly where the band was and where everybody was dancing. There's these sort of brown spatches, but no, the show was great. It was a good day. Everybody wrote great. The sponsors were awesome. It was great.
Yeah, no, it was a fantastic day, Max. So last weekend we had Red Hills, which is one of the sort of bigger horse trials of our spring season, which was pretty awesome. I think the first FEI competition of the year, isn't it? I think it probably is, Max. Yeah. So, of course, it was a wee bit switched up from last year. It went an opposite direction, which was interesting. We had to show jump on the last day, which for me is a bit of a bore, but I mean, you just got to get it done. And actually, probably it wasn't a bad thing because, well, look, I mean, but it probably wasn't a bad thing because like my show jumping wasn't that fantastic at Red Hills this weekend. So it's given me something to think about because jumping them on the last day, they are slightly different, aren't they? Than when you bring them out and on the first day. Right. So that was good. But no, Red Hills was a fantastic competition. Courses were great. Really enjoyed them. And some new rules, which is hard to get my head around, the sort of flag rules and things and 11s and bits and pieces. I still don't really understand it. I think I have to get Bruce Haskell to come on the show and tell everybody what the story is because because I sort of took out a flag on Johnny. I sort of I was well within it, I thought, but the flag went down and first I was given a clear and then I was given an 11 and then it was like, I think it was something to do with the old 50, which we don't have anymore. But right. I don't know if you know it, Max. I'm going to figure it out and I'll tell
so if it depends on which side of the flag, or did your foot hit it, or did it not hit it, or did it go on this side or that side? There's a whole bunch of we'll get Bruce back on again.
Yeah. Well, nut all that flag stuff out.
Exactly.
And a few frangible pins went down, and that's another 11 as well. But but you can't argue it this year. Apparently, you're not allowed to sort of go and say, that shouldn't have come down. No, once it's knocked down, it's knocked down. Apparently, you can't go up and say anything, which I'm not quite sure I agree with. Right. Especially as it was the triple bar, one of the triple bars into the water, and me personally, I don't think that should even be franged. Horses do lean on fences and rub themselves when they jump down into water, let's face it, and we teach them to do that, and I don't want to teach my horses to jump in super careful and super clean be all airy fairy, because the next thing you know, you're going to flip over frontwards.
Well,
So,
and then also too, a lot of times as you go up the levels, you have a related distance, and you can't have them landing so flat-footed. You can't get to that next distance.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we live and learn, don't we? Apparently, they said they were going to change the triple bar from advanced to a log next year, which would solve the problem.
There you go.
Which anyway. So just other things to think about. But speaking of the Mardanza show and Chris Barnard, you've got well, actually, we haven't even been over that yet. We had the amateur championships yesterday at Mardanza, which was the culmination of the schooling shows that have been going on here once a week. One at Mardanza, one at Clayton Fredericks' property, Fredericks Equestrian, and one over at Notting Hill Stables, and that is where Justine Dutton and Chris Barnard actually live. And it's been a schooling show series, and if you go in a couple of the schooling shows, I think it's 2 or 3, you get to qualify to go to this show that was on yesterday, and I think it was a 95, a 105, and a 115 max. I'm not quite sure you were there.
Yep, exactly right. And each farm sponsored one of them and got their sponsors to sponsor prizes in kind. And I'll tell you, the people that came, they walked away with some good stuff, and they did a great job. They had a big scoreboard up, and they had some tents up, and they had little trade fair, and the weather was beautiful, and they did such a great job. It was unfortunately not very highly attended, but the people that attended, I think, pretty happy they did.
Well, I mean, one of my students was second in one class, and she won the 115, and she has a new pair of Alberto Fasciani boots and a jacket, a large check, and a whole lot of stuff. And so her mother rang me last night, absolutely over the moon about it. But I would say, I think next year it just needs to be a little bit more publicized. The amateur people have just got to get behind it a little bit more and realize that, it's not a huge entry fee, but they can really get away with some awesome loot.
And I also think the professionals need to help. I mean, it's a lot of effort, and it's something that the professionals need to help support it as well, and get their people excited about doing it. So I think it's just going to be a learning curve and an education level to get everybody back there again next year.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they can keep the momentum, because I know from the people that did win the prizes, they are just over the moon.
Yeah, exactly.
About it. So that's fantastic.
Yeah.
But anyway, Max, we better get on with our show. We have got 3 awesome guests to listen to.
With us now is the organizer of the Carolina International and one of the board members of our ERA, and as well as many other committees. Welcome to the show, Jane Murray.
Thank you, guys.
So, Jane, we had a conference call the other day with all of our board members from the ERA, which actually is kind of a really cool group of people, isn't it? We've got such a diverse group.
It really is a diverse group of individuals, and what I think is so interesting about the leadership of ERA, of NA, is that we not only have your traditional riders or trainers and maybe an official here or there. We have people who are adult amateurs who ride professionally, who are in the not-for-profit world and run things in those kinds of organizations. So it's a really super high-powered group of people who I do believe through the ERA of NA and its voice will absolutely influence the sport in the long run. And we're quite lucky to have all of them on our side.
Yeah, it's a really fun group of people to be a part of. Jane, we've got something new this year that a lot of people aren't quite aware of yet. We've got a really neat new amateur program that is, just to try to help get some more amateurs involved and to give back to them and to acknowledge their, what they have done. So can you talk us through that a little bit?
Sure. Well, I think as Pro morphed, if you will, into the ERA of NA, the objective behind that was to look at the entire sport, not just from a professional perspective, but really how do we involve and engage in listening to the voice of our grassroots community, which includes obviously many, many amateurs, both adults and under 21 or young riders. So what we've done is continue to open up our membership, but to drive that membership, to build and implement programs that are really about the adult amateur and as well as the juniors. The adult amateur award program is called the GEM Award, and it allows you to gain a pin, which is quite a beautiful Swarovski crystal, each at a different color, based on the level of qualifying results you've had at competitions across your annual experience. So you go online and you absolutely just quickly sign up for the program, and as soon as you've received the number of qualifying results, which is either 2 or 4, depending on how high a level you're riding at and competing at, and then you receive your pin with the crystal and proudly wear it. We've also continued to focus on the prelim to pro program, which is really beginning to get a team experience for some of our younger riders who are moving up the spectrum and up the competition levels. That program has been in place for several years and continues to now grow. So those are 2 areas of focus. And I would also say that as we think about opportunities that the ERA of NA brings to the adult amateur in the eventing world, really is about providing access, opportunities, and benefits ultimately that are what amateurs are looking for. Do they need more training exposure? Do they need more coaching at a competition? Do they need more course walks? All of those kinds of things. And we, as Max remembers, we did talk a little bit how do we bring the sports psychology angle into it going forward. So tons of good ideas and super fun ideas to work with. And as someone who competed for many, many years as an adult amateur, I wish I had these things. So it's really super.
I know. Yeah. I mean, as a kid, it would have been to be able to be part of that and to, as a junior rider, to make friendships and build relationships and have the experience of being able to compete on a team and to, just to make that broaden your spectrum of the people that you know and compete with. It's just a fantastic opportunity.
Yes. Yep. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is very exciting. And obviously, we can talk about the insurance all day long, but for any of the members, whether you're a professional, whether you're a rider, whether you're a farrier or whatever, this right. Insurance program that we offer it's incomparable to anything that anybody can find anywhere in the world.
Exactly. I mean, it's a very hard type of program to buy into, even off of your existing insurance. But we have a lot of people who do purchase the insurance, and it's turned out, sadly, in some ways, you don't want to see people get hurt, but it's turned out to be a wonderful benefit for the long run for people who are out of work for weeks and weeks.
Yeah, I know Sarah Murphy, she sort of stands on a podium and talks about it all the time with her, what looked to be a very innocuous fall at Millbrook last year and, sidelined her and heard she had this insurance and it saved them, even with her insurance, it would have cost her so much out of pocket. And having this insurance really helped her and then helped her continue to be able to pay her bills throughout while she was literally laid up in a hospital bed.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the insurance I've had personal experience with it, and I have to say that, coming from the UK, where we were under the national health, and every time you broke a bone, you just went to hospital and got a bit of average health care. It doesn't really work like that here in the United States. You've got to pay for it, and I was very naive, and I had no idea what it was going to cost, and so off I trotted to hospital with my broken pelvis, and the broken pelvis. My afternoon in the hospital cost $20,000 by the time everything was done. And if it wasn't for the insurance, I would have been fairly well stuffed. And also the fact that, it took a long, long time for it. And so that the extra bit of money that we got from the insurance, after the 30 days was fantastic. Right. So in a nutshell, this insurance it's a catastrophe insurance, but it has a $5,000 deductible but in the scheme of things, when you need a helicopter, an ambulance, life support, be it in ICU, it's something that for people like me, people like anybody in the horse industry,
right,
probably can't do without.
You can't do without it, and I think it's a very smart policy to have. It's also, and we all know that $5,000 in a deductible, when in some of these even non-catastrophic policies, it's eaten away up.
By coughing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
When you think of the annual premium of $393, which includes your membership, which you have to be a member of Pro to get of ERA to get the insurance, but you do have to admit that for a total of under $400 to have this baseline insurance, nevertheless the opportunity to buy up for additional coverage. So it's pretty. You can't find that anywhere. And I've been in the employee benefits side of things for a long time, and it's a challenge. So this is quite something.
And so, Jane, coming up, obviously, we're going to talk a little bit more about Carolina International, but to continue with the ERA of NA, we will be having a meeting. There is an open house type of meeting for everybody to come and learn more about it. And at Carolina International, if any of the listeners here might
Thursday at 5 p.m. at the SEGMA Competitors Lounge, and there'll be obviously cocktails and nibbly bits, and so people can have a bite before the meeting starts. It is, and we're quite excited because a lot of our board members are riding or will be in attendance. So we've got a lot of people representing the leadership of the ERA at that meeting. It is an open forum, and we really look to drive further membership through that, answer questions about the organization, and listen to input and comments. I mean, that feedback is critical to us. And then also we have a couple of housekeeping votes to do. But it should be, I don't know, a 45-minute meeting at the most, but one that we're looking to share as much information as to really seek out and listen to what our constituency has to say.
Yeah. And, for the people that don't know ERA and what exactly that it does, but besides these programs and stuff, we're here to be the voice of the riders, whether you're a professional or an amateur, and to help with, answer questions and deal with concerns, and to be a pathway to get those concerns and questions answered to whatever federation, association, organization it might be. We're there to be that voice of every rider straight through. Exactly.
And what's interesting is on that point, Max, that the cooperation we're experiencing between the USEA, the USEF, the FEI has been tremendous. And I think that balance and the sort of mutual understanding and value system has really helped. And we've seen that emulated in Europe with the ERA of the UK, and we're excited to begin to have that same sort of traction. But it's really, really great to see.
Yeah. So, Jane, let's talk about the big elephant in the room coming up next week. You are the organizer of Carolina International, which has become one of the major competitions on the East Coast, or actually in the country, leading up. How are things looking for next week?
Things look great. Knock on wood, the weather forecast holds. You never know if they're going to be right on there or not, but
Exactly.
It's looking pretty rosy.
No snow for next week. No snow predicted.
Yeah, exactly, and lots of sun.
Yes.
So no, it's a little bit about like building a village over 3 or 4 weeks as we bring in structures and tents and stabling and all that sort of thing. But no, it looks good. We have about 400 horses coming. We have a really exciting group of sponsors. We have our returning sponsors of the last 5 years, as well as a diverse group of companies, pharma, real estate, technology, and other products that are really new and different. And I think allow us more corporate sponsorship exposure, which is really what you want in the long run. So we're excited about that. And each year we're trying to up the game. We've got enhanced experience for our owners and sponsors and patrons who come to enjoy the weekend. But also we have spent many, many months taking care of our ground. We've had challenges. We have a sandy soil base here, which isn't the easiest to work with. If it's dry, it's hard. If it's wet, it's too soft. So we've been doing a lot of experimentation with the kind of grass seed and the growth we've got here, what is going to hold off best. And I have to say, thanks to our wonderful partner, Millbrook Farm, who does all of our grounds work, it looks phenomenal. And we had great feedback last weekend at the Southern Pines Horse Trials, where they actually had to run a very different track because we have roped off all of our 3- and 4-star tracks to make sure that no one sets foot on them. So they look quite beautiful. So fingers crossed, Max, that the weather's good and everybody has a good and safe weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you guys always put on such a class competition for the competitors, for the owners, for the grooms. I mean, I know I as a groom, I always love going there because it's you guys take such good care of us, and it's just a great competition. I mean, last year it did snow. I mean, I could have done without that. That would have been nice, but it really is. You guys always have the competitor tent there for everybody to come have a cup of coffee in the morning, and it's just a great experience. And you guys do such a great job getting the entire community involved. I mean, it's fairly spread out area, so to get everybody there is quite excellent. And you guys you work all year to get the whole community there and be a part of it.
Right, and we're really lucky to have the volunteer corps here. This year we're sort of showcasing our volunteers throughout the park on the weekend, as well as in our official competition program. And we have over 300 people who come on the weekend to volunteer. And they're a really special group. They do this because they're charitably inclined. They do it because they want to give back. And we try very, very hard to acknowledge them and make sure that they feel that they are deeply appreciated. So, we're very, very lucky for that. But it comes back to your point about the experience here at the Carolina International in general. One of our real mantra is that we don't want anybody to go away feeling that they wouldn't want to come back, and that they've had a good experience regardless of the competition result. That this is a place that's important for them to be on track to return to. So, and that's true of owners and volunteers and riders and grooms, everyone involved. And I think keeping that at the forefront all the time and really understanding who our customers are has allowed us to continue to inch it up every year a little bit, or to continue to improve on things that needed improving.
Right.
And I would also point to our for instance, we have a great partnership for a second year running with the USEA, who's working with EQ Sportsnet to allow very, very, I think it's a $5 access for the weekend to the live stream. And all you do is punch in a code, whether you're a member or you're considering membership. So
okay.
Those kinds of things. And also, Max, we have Richard Jeffries and the USEA
That's right.
Ed program coming along, too. I guess there are about 50 people.
Wow. And when is that?
That starts on Thursday.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that's a big...
Yeah.
Haven't you got some sort of little team competition going on there as well?
We also, we have the USEF Futures Team Challenge, which is 2 teams, one at the 4-star level and one at the 3-star level. And they were selected based on, I think long-term potential, obviously, but a group of people who need a team experience and will get more exposure to that. So it's pretty exciting.
That's cool. That is awesome. That'll be fun. It'll be a fun weekend. And so, that is great. Yeah, it is. I'm really looking forward to getting up there. Yeah.
I can't wait to have you.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Well, Jane, we're going to let you go because you've got, obviously, I know as being an organizer myself, probably people waiting to talk to you and return phone calls and text and everything else, from porta potties to ribbons to everything else in between. As we all know how it works.
Let me deal with some of those things. That would not be my long suit. But you guys are great to have me and to let us get more exposure to the ERA of NA as well as Carolina. So.
Yes. Carolina, Thursday, 5 p.m., SAGMA tent. Be there.
Be there.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you, Jane.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Bye, guys.
The Eventing Writers Association of North America is the collective voice of writers, equine professionals, and owners. in pursuit of enhancing the growing sport of eventing in North America. In cooperation with our members, governing bodies, related committees, and organizers, ERA of NA works to improve the overall welfare, safety, visibility, and growth of the sport. ERA of NA, your voice matters for the sport of eventing. Jump in and engage by becoming a member today. Find them online at www.eraofna.com.
Joining us now, we have Christina Henriksen from, where are you from, Christina?
Oh, man, that's a long story, Joe. I'm originally from the Midwest and then was out west in Colorado for a while, and then I've been in England for the last almost 4 years.
Wow. So what I wanted to do was get you on the show today and talk a little bit about your experiences in England and why you went there and what you did and why you've come home. So so what was what made you go there in the first place?
Well, my husband and I were both finished up with school. We don't have kids yet, and we're just at a point in our lives where we wanted to do something big. And Jeff, my husband, is an investor, and he went over for a conference at Oxford and loved it and came home and said, "Hey, I'm going to apply for the executive MBA program. If I get in, do you want to go to England?" And I'm like, what kind of question is that to ask, a girl who's wanted to event to the top levels her whole life? And so he got in, and it was all a bit of a whirlwind. But we moved over, and it was a heck of an experience. Probably the best time of my life so far. So I took one horse that I had produced up to intermediate level with me, and kind of hit the ground there trying to get going. And it was a major learning curve, but being surrounded by many of the best riders in the world and watching them, week in and week out on their young horses, their good horses, their up and coming horses. I mean, you learn so much. And it's just such an incredible experience to be able to go over there and be based there with many of the best in the world.
So who did you train with when you were there?
So I was very fortunate to be able to work with Grant Wilson for the last couple of years in the show jumping. He really helped me improve my accuracy, my lines, my technique. And Blythe Tate is a master, as we all know. And he was just up the road for me. So I spent a lot of time riding cross country and jumping with him as well. And, he was a bit of a mentor for me as well with the shows that I didn't know and the schedule. Moving the horses up the levels, what to expect. I also worked with Jay Hallam in the show jumping as well, and Annabelle Scrimbour on the flat, and Lucy Cartwright on the flat. And the thing about being, I was in the Cotswolds, so there were so many good people within an hour away. It was almost a little overwhelming at first because I moved over there and I'm like, where do I go? Where do I start? But the right people came into my life at the right time. And I was just really, really fortunate to be able to have the opportunities and learn from many of the best in the sport.
So tell us, you were telling me a story the other day about how you were out jumping somewhere, and this is a situation that happens often there. Not, can happen here, but you said that, you were in the ring and there was Ludwig on one of his top horses and Dan on one of his other ones or something like that. Tell us about that.
So actually that was the first time that I went to jump with Grant, and I didn't know.
Grant's a New Zealander, by the way. Can you see the little theme coming along? Great jumping trainer, another Kiwi trainer, great Kiwi sitting in the little room here now talking to her.
Sorry.
No, I like Kiwis. What can I say? I know. We get on great. So that was actually the first time that I had ridden with Grant, and I had 3 young horses with me, and 2 of them were quite feral. It was a really cold, windy, wet, awful day, very typical day in England.
Yeah, just a really shitty day in England.
Just really crappy.
Just normal. I probably thought it was probably quite all right. Yeah.
We were lucky.
One of those days that we wouldn't go outside, Max. We're in Florida, we'd call it a snow day.
Yeah, we'd go for breakfast and drink coffee and sort of do the bare minimum. Nobody wants to be with their rugs off on those days.
No.
No, but that's just a normal day over there, and everyone just cracks on, and you go about your day, you ride all your horses, and and then you get to do it all again the next day in the same lovely weather.
Yeah.
But yeah, so going back to my story, I didn't really know who Ludwig was. I didn't know Dan very well at the time either. And I'm on two quite feral. One was a 4-year-old, the one was a 5-year-old. And with Grant, sometimes, he just throws you in with everybody. So I remember talking to Ludwig, and I'm like, oh, what's your horse done? He's like, oh, this is my Olympic horse. And, we're going to do some stuff this year. And then I later talked to Dan, and he was on a 3-star horse, and he's like, what's yours done? And I'm like, well, it's going to go out at novice this year, hopefully, because it's, just coming 6th. And it was just a really cool experience to be in a group of riders that had such a depth of knowledge and so much experience in the sport at the top levels. And nobody cared that I was on young feral horses. They're not young and feral anymore. We just they jumped a bit, and then Grant would make the exercise a little bit easier, a little bit smaller for my young ones. And that was kind of, a lot of his sessions were that way. Everybody would fit in as they could with their schedule, and it wasn't always about, oh, we just have a group of 4-star horses, or we just have a group of 3-star horses. And I feel like in producing the young horses, it's such a great way to get them set up for success in the future, because they're jumping angles, they're jumping corners, they're jumping skinnies at a small height, but on similar lines to what the top level horses were doing as well. And then by the time they're at those top levels, they've been doing it for so long. So, yeah.
So jealous. That sounds amazing, except for the weather. The weather doesn't sound so amazing, but it's and it's also one of the things that's you get so lucky about in England is that everybody is within a couple-hour drive. Where here, if you want to go train with somebody, sometimes it's an 8-hour drive or something, where you have so many opportunities in such a small area over there, which is really kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean that was probably one of the biggest things, and you can do so much more. I mean, the young horses, I feel like, can really get a lot of experience and a lot of exposure. And if you want to go show jumping during the week, there's 3, 4, 5 venues within a 2-hour drive that are all running British show jumping, Tuesday through Saturday. So if you have horses competing on the weekend and you want to get a couple rounds in the following week, show jumping rounds, you just drive, throw everybody in the lorry and go. And the days aren't so long.
Yeah. And the prices are reasonable, because there's so many places where people are having the practice show jumpings and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to rain on your parade, ladies, but I do remember nights in the dark waiting for my lot to get a show jumping round in the freezing
cold. Only because it gets dark and
snow on the ground outside. If it wasn't snow, it was mud.
Well.
And you couldn't warm up indoors. You had to warm up outdoors to go indoors. So you were outdoors all the time before you went indoors for your one round. Okay.
Anyway, she's moved back now.
Because you were so wet in the rain.
And how many times you have to get a new phone because it went straight through you and you were soaked. Anyway, but no, you're absolutely right. It is very, very close, and there's access to a lot of events. Cost of competing horses is less. Cost of living compared to Florida, much higher. Cost of sanity over the weather, well, it's just a no-brainer. But I mean, I think down here at the moment, the winter in Florida, we pretty much emulate, getting to that stage of what's going on there. We have a lot of competitions. There's a lot of opportunities to show jump. You can do a lot with your young horses.
Absolutely.
Plus we have the weather, which is great. But yeah, like get into the rest of the year in America, and yeah, it becomes difficult, doesn't it? Because everybody starts to spread off to their home territory. And when you said 8 hours to train with someone, I was thinking of going up to train with Jimmy Wofford, and that's 16. So that's kind of like, oh my goodness. But yeah, it makes it much harder. But so you've done a stint in England, and it's been fantastic, and you loved it very much. And you've decided to come home, and there's been one or two reasons for that, hasn't there?
Yeah. I mean, we had entrepreneurial visas, so we had 3.5 years, actually 4 years with the visas. But my experience over there was amazing. It was not all smooth sailing. It's not an easy place to live by any means. And I try to be very positive about everything because I was very lucky to be there, but we definitely had a lot of bumps in the road. And coming home, it's been great to be back. It's been a little bit, I was there long enough that coming home, it's been a little bit of an adjustment.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. Tell us about that.
I had built up an amazing team while I was over there of some of the top professionals in the industry, like Christiana Ober doing all my veterinary work for the last 3 years. Greg Elliott is my farrier, plus my coaches. I had an amazing head girl, and I had to leave all of that and start pretty much completely over because I moved to Charlottesville, Virginia. And so I didn't really know anyone in Charlottesville. So it's been definitely, having to build a team back up has been challenging, having to find good help, good coaching, all of that. So, it's definitely there are challenges with that. I'm not complaining about the beautiful weather in Florida at all this time of year. So that has been an easy adjustment. But yeah, all of my horses that I brought back, like, even the first time we went on a trip, like they weren't used to an American trailer. They weren't used to a head-to-head. They weren't used to being on the road for, 15 hours coming down to Florida. And so it's been a lot of just small things that take a while to just get going. And even Red Hills this weekend was our first run of the year. The horses were incredible, but having it be run like a proper 3-day, I haven't show jumped on the third day in a while. So it's been a lot of adjustments, but we're lucky here in America. We have the Florida circuit, which is incredible, and our way of life here is good. So coming back to that has not been a hardship. So
yeah, no, I mean it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just very different. Yeah. The lifestyle's different over there. The horse scene's different over there. And it just takes a while to get kind of ingrained and learn the system. So at least, coming back to America, I knew the system. I knew way of life here. Yeah,
well, when I arrived, I knew nothing of the system, really. Luckily, I had a lovely wife to help me out and show me and stuff. And I remember going and winning my first class and said, where do I pick up the prize money? And she said, what do you mean? And started laughing at me. And I said, what?
Yeah.
Well, what do you get? She said, well, you get glory.
You get glory.
Yeah. So glory in the prelim. Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, no, it has been different. So moving on, I mean, obviously you're going to be heading back up to Virginia in 2 or 3 weeks or whenever it is. And what have you got planned coming up?
Well, I'm running next at Carolina International. I've got one horse. Actually, both of my best horses are in the Open Intermediate. And then we'll head to Bear Hill, and the gelding, the Cayardale Caccia horse, will do the advance there. And then the JTH Thus horse is going to do the CCI 3-star short. I still can't wrap my head around the new naming system. And then we'll head to Jersey Fresh, probably do the gelding will do this, hopefully do the CCI 4-star short there. The mare will be in the CCI 3-star short. And then Bromont is the goal for the spring CCI for both horses. So I've heard amazing things about Bromont, and I'm really excited to hopefully make it up there.
Bromont's fantastic. I love Bromont.
Me too.
It's so beautiful. I just never get to go anymore.
You've got to, yeah, that's right, because
I know.
You've got
that damn organizing thing. It just gets in the way.
I know. I'm sorry about that, Max. We just booked our house.
Yeah, I know. Don't talk to me. I know.
The one with the hot tub, Max.
I know.
Yeah. 1 mile from the.
La la
1
la
mile
la
from the.
la la la. I don't hear you. La 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 la. I don't hear you.
The only problem with Bromont is the drive there.
Yes.
And my Ruthie is already planning on how she's going to get out of it and fly again this year. Which is actually fine. Honestly, it's absolutely fine because she's not a good traveler over a long distance. So if she flies up and it's all fresh, it's not a problem. I don't mind. I quite like it, but once you get there, it's amazing and it's cool and the ground is brilliant, and we've got horses earmarked for that as well. So yeah, no, that's going to be brilliant. Well, Christina, I'm going to say thank you very much for coming on the show and welcome home. When I first got here, there was one of the things that I noticed was everybody was exceptionally friendly and very welcoming, which was just awesome. And good luck for the rest of your season, and we'll get you back on the show and a little bit. You can tell us how you've got on. Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much, guys, for having me. And it's great to be back. And like you said, when you first came back, everyone's been really welcoming and lovely. And I have to say the same thing. People have been amazing. And especially in Charlottesville, I've been with Plain Dealing Group, and they have just been so welcoming and
Benita
so
and Lucia Strini, and they are fabulous, actually, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're really cool.
The whole family is just so lovely and welcoming, and have made me feel, just so much more settled in the whole process. So I feel very thankful for that. And of course, being here with you and Ruthie, Joe, you guys have been great. So thank you for having me.
Very welcome. Very welcome. All right. Well, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you. Bye, guys.
Joining me now is show jumping course designer Chris Barnard. Chris, you have had a seriously busy couple of weeks. Welcome to the show, and I don't even know you've just been crazy busy.
Hi Max, thanks for having me. Crazy busy. I think I got 4 shows this week, so that is a busy winter for sure. But it's nice to have these Wednesday shows to sort of get the community out and about and do the big stuff on the weekend. So it's good.
And so by the community shows, we're here at Mardanza Farm right now, and they are having this awesome $15,000 class. $5,000 for each level. One level is meter 0.95. Next one's a meter 5. Next one is a meter 15. And these are just for amateurs or kids to be part of this, to get some prize money. And it's a really cool thing that you guys are doing.
Yeah, it started last year. Brian and Sarah Murphy and Clayton and Lisa ran schooling shows every other week last winter. And this winter, Notting Hill, Justine and I joined into the rotation, and we decided to do it every week. And then Sarah's idea, which is a great one, was to have basically, they would be qualifiers, and you had to ride in 3 classes in any of the shows, and you qualified for this sort of championships at the end of the winter. And we would give away $5,000 per section, and I think the heights are 95, 105, and a meter 15. And we got all our sponsors, and Justine sponsors, and Clayton and Sarah sponsors to donate a bunch of prizes, and then we would also put a bunch of cash in that people could take home. And it's been a really popular series this winter, and we're looking to expand on it next winter. But I do all the courses for all 3 facilities, so it gives everybody a good chance to practice over my courses that they'll see on the weekends at the events down here in Florida and mainly in Area 3 in the winter.
Yeah, and so, I mean, obviously the show jumping, for some reason, for eventers, they're fine to go and gallop around these massive cross-country courses, but you put them in a show jump ring, and the panic sets in, doesn't it, for these guys? And I've done it myself, and I panic too, but it really, for some reason, doesn't make sense mentally. But it is expensive to go to HITS and to go to these other shows to be able to practice and stuff like that. So this has been giving everybody such a good opportunity to get out, jump some different courses, go to different venues, get their young horses out, and do all that kind of stuff too.
Absolutely. It's a cost-effective way for everybody to get out and see a bit biased, but good courses, nice show jumps, which I sell, and good footing. You know, like Brian and Sarah and Clayton and Lisa have the beautiful Wardley Martin arenas, and we have a really nice grass field, so that the ability to jump on different footing, different courses, and practice over stuff that you'll see on the weekends. But like I say, in a cost-effective way that, you know, you can bring a bunch of horses and it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg. And it's midweek, so you're not taking up your weekends. It's a day in the week where it's, you know, not interfering with the eventing events, and probably a good day to show jump practice before you go on the weekend.
Yeah, and it doesn't really take much out of the horses too. You can get in and get out, and still sort of have your day of you know, professionals can come and bring their young ones or their older ones, or if they're trying different bits or trying something different or new or whatever it is. There's just lots of opportunity to sort of iron out the kinks and all that too.
Yeah, and even with that for the horse side, and then for the course side, the practice, you know, jumping the triple bar to the vertical, which I love to build, or, you know, practicing the combinations. We put triples in that people can practice oxer vertical, oxer vertical, all those sorts of stuff. So I think just the ability to come out and just give it a practice, you know, without too much pressure, you know, like, and also without sort of, you know, killing the bank account, is always a bonus. And also, you know, the 3 facilities that we've got this year are you know, nice relaxing atmospheres, and like I said before, good footing. So it just gives everybody a good day. You know, we play the music, you know, sort of, and
we have fantastic weather too.
And we have fantastic weather.
Beautiful sunny Florida.
I think it's 82 degrees and mostly sunny today. But no, we've been lucky this winter with the weather as well. It's been a super warm winter, which is why we're down here.
Exactly. And so I'm just gonna go back a week. You were the first time designing at the Eventing Pre-Invitational. What was your experience like there?
That was a lot of fun. I actually feel quite lucky to be down here. I got a chance to do it, and was actually really impressed with the way everybody show jumped. I sort of was talking to a couple of the riders, and I think out of the 32 horses or 36 horses we jumped, we had 14 double clear, but I don't think it was because the course was easy. I think actually the riders and the horses rode and jumped great. I mean, the Maxshire facility is beautiful. Scott does an amazing job with the footing. We have beautiful sponsor jumps, which was great. But I just thought it was a great opportunity for the upper level riders to get, and not everybody was on their first string horse. You know, they were able to bring out the second string, a legit meter 30, which is obviously the 5-star show jumping. And I sort of said to a couple of the riders, when you actually get a chance to focus on that one phase and not have to dash off and do cross country on your prelim horse, or I've got to run and do a dressage test, and run the day like a Grand Prix show jumping track. It's amazing when they focus how well they actually can show jump. And I hope some of these riders can take that experience with the atmosphere, the sponsors tent, the big jumps, the Liverpools, all that sort of stuff to Kentucky if they're going, and do a good job on the Sunday. I think that's the part of the point of doing your show is to give the riders and the horses a little bit more experience in the atmosphere. But it's a fun day. Again, it was beautiful weather.
It was actually quite chilly, but the sun did come out.
It was sunny, wasn't rainy, and it was above 60 degrees, so we'll take it. But again, a great thing for the community. We have so many good, top professionals down here with their clients for the winter. So I think a nice showcases like that for the event riders to have, and sponsors to come to, and clients to come watch. It was definitely a fun afternoon. I hadn't been before, so to sort of course design and experience the whole thing from morning till late night was a lot of fun.
Yeah, to the late night was definitely a good after party. No, the course was super, and because it is not the easiest ring to design in, because it's a bit of an odd shape with a tree in the middle, but no, that was a good day. And like you said, that's sort of the whole purpose of it, is to get those guys to have extra pressure. I thought people rode fantastic. I know when we set the course on Monday night, I was a little bit surprised. I thought, oh, this is kind of big. And then coming out the next day, it looked better. And people really stepped up to the occasion and rode really well. And it was really fun to watch and exciting for our sport.
And I tried to give it a jumper feel. It's a jumper class, even though it's for event horses, but our courses are getting so much more jumpery in the event world that material-wise and lines and technicality-wise, I really try to give it a jumper feel with the triple and the double, so that it's a legit test for everybody, and also the riders can use it as a gauge of where their horses are in like I said before, in a big atmosphere and over a legit meter 30. You think your 4-star or your advanced is a meter 25. So if you're going to be jumping that, you want to be jumping a meter 30 really at home, especially. But if you can go to a show like that and jump it, that's a good gauge of where you are. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you're obviously you're at Pine Top this weekend, and then where is everybody else going to see you?
Pine Top, I leave in the morning, go build Pine Top tomorrow afternoon. I am there until Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday I'm Stableview. And then the following weekend is Carolina, which obviously that's Mark's show, so he's building there. And don't forget, Richard Jeffrey is doing the course design clinic there, so if anybody's going up to Carolina, I suggest if you have any interest in gaining any show jumping knowledge, that would be a great clinic to go to. And then actually I'm doing my first show in California. I'm going to Galway the end of the month, and then the Fork, Ocala the following week after that, and then Fair Hill back up to the northeast, and hopefully it'll warm up a little bit, and I'll be at Fair Hill in April.
So if you had to give these riders that might be listening like 3 or 2 things to work on, 2 things that they might see in your courses, what would they be?
I mean, I think everybody knows I love the use of the triple bar somewhere, normally in a related distance to a straight up vertical, definitely something like that. And then it's funny, we did a little semi-clinic-y forum that Sinead Halpin put together for the professionals down here, and we had 15 or so people come out, and we talked about the show jumping at the upper levels, and we talked about types of fences, where did we use triple bars and types of combinations, oxes, verticals, and my sort of advice was, when you walk the course, sort of figure out why Mark or myself or Richard or whoever does the course is using that type of fence in that situation. Why is it triple bar vertical? Why is the combination, vertical, octave, vertical?
Because you guys do have a method to your madness for each level, too. It's depending on which show you're at and what level you're doing.
Absolutely. Like the whole course is a test, so we try and make it all relate. I just finished up at Red Hills, which is a big giant ring, and I had a triple combination across the middle, a sort of bending left 8 or 9 strides to the Liverpool, and then a short 5, and the whole thing is related. I'm not necessarily trying to get you to have fences down. It's more of the skill of, can you jump the triple, be organized to the Liverpool, and then still shorten for the 5 strides. So like we said before, the course is again that little bit more technical and much more jumpery, so every time I build a course down here or at a show, that's what you're going to see, and like I say, these schooling shows have been good for that, for people to practice, and but I think people see me plenty now to know what's going to go in the ring. I do try and keep it as fresh as I can. Again, looking forward to Pine Top this weekend, because that's a funky piece of land, which is fun to design in, but it's hard to ride in, I know. And then go to places like Galway, somewhere different, and then the Fork, the big ring at Tryon, which I always love to build in that arena. So we'll try and come up with something fresh and new, and keep everybody learning and practicing and getting better.
Excellent. Well, Chris, thank you so much. We are going to head back to the show. We're just in the middle of this last class here, and we will catch up with you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me, Max.
Max, I've got a kind of love-hate with Chris. Yeah.
How could there be any hate towards that man? Because you don't like his courses.
I hate trying to make the time on the courses.
Oh, yeah.
But I love him. I do. Do you know what? No. I think it's really, his courses are technical, and the time is always quite quick. And I think it's making a big improvement, a big impact on the show jumping here in the United States. And you just look at it from how many clear rounds there were at the eventing pre, and it's getting tougher, more technical, and I think that's great for us.
And I think that's also the way the sport's going to go too. I mean, they can't make the cross country more technical, but they can make the show jumping taller, a little bit taller, and a little bit more technical, and people to ride just a couple of lines better. And that's, the course designers can give people options whether to, go direct in 5 or swing out for 6, and each stride is a little bit more on the time, and just to have people be more efficient in their, ups the game a bit.
Yeah, and now with the new scoring, it's hugely influential.
Yes. Yeah.
You know,
the time, I mean, it's 0.4, but still, it's, you know, sometimes your score is within 0.4. That could cost you 2 places and quite a bit of money.
I'm talking about the show jumping as a whole now, Max.
Yeah.
You know, now,
exactly.
now with the new dressage scoring, the days of winning a 3-star or 4-star or 5-star with 2 or 3 rails down are completely over.
Gone. Exactly.
You know, they are gone, and you just have to look at the WEG. You know, there was a few people there that could have been in the medals, but 1 rail really cost them.
Yes.
And a clear round made a huge difference.
Oh,
so that's why it has become much more influential, and
right.
I think it's a great thing. I think it's much better for the sport to concentrate on jumping and jumping accuracy than doing circles after circles after circles and grilling horses into the ground, which unfortunately, you know, it's not a nice thing to say, but it was sort of what happened when people concentrated so much on the flat because it meant such a big thing. So now it's evened it all out, and the jumping's much more important.
Right. Yep. You got it.
Yeah. Speaking of jumping, I'm off to Hits this weekend, Max. Next week, I'm going. And at the end of the end of next week is the Million.
Yes.
Which for us, the people that are not going to the Carolinas, will be able to go and watch. And I'm going to go and cheer on your other half, Scott, in the Million, which is great. And it is a fairly inexpensive operation. I think they charge you $10 to get in, or
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Jump the fence, take a
cooler,
and a garden chair, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you can see some of the best show jumping.
Because you'll get the likes of McLean and those guys coming up too. Some of those Wellington, the top guys from Wellington will come up and have a crack at it as well, because it is a big money class. I mean, obviously, if you win, you get $335,000 or something to that effect. It's quite impressive. Nuts. So, yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah,
should be good.
It'll be fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Max, we've had a great show, and I think it's about time you ended up doing these closing bits for us.
Yeah. Exactly. So everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Eventing Riders Association of North America podcast. You can learn more about Eventing Riders Association of North America at eraofna.com or at 5 p.m. on Thursday at Carolina International at the SAGME Competitors Tent.
Please go.
Yes, seriously. So, and then you can find the links to today's guests and topics at eventingradio.com. Follow Eventing Radio on Facebook. Just search for The Eventing Radio Show, and on Twitter at Eventing Radio. Listen to Eventing Radio anytime, anywhere with the free Horse Radio Network app for iPhone and Android. Go to your app store and search Horse Radio Network. You can also subscribe via iTunes. This is Max, and you can find me on Facebook, Max Corcoran Horse Care. You can't find me on Twitter because I don't do that. You can find me on Instagram at MMC338. And you can read all my old blogs at Max Corcoran WordPress. Just being honest, sorry.
And this is Joe, and you can find me on Facebook, Joe Meyer. You can go to my website, joemeyereventing.com. You can follow me on Twitter, Joe Meyer EVNTR, and you can follow me on Instagram, Joe Meyer Eventing. So, Max, I think we will get on our merry way. Well, so I was going to say, you can find me out on my next horse in beautiful sunny Florida.
Exactly. And you can find me at the Florida Horse Park this weekend at the show jumping ring.
Well, I'll see you there tomorrow, Max.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, thank you, listeners, and we'll talk to you again in 4 weeks' time.
Bye, everyone.